Hello, everybody, or nobody, as the case may be. I'm going to review the transformation and discuss this figure, Kalavinka by BigFireBird Toys. You might remember BigFireBird. They're the ones that made that outrageously proportioned version of RC. The sexy RC that they made. I'm just kind of digging out some of the accessories that came with this because it was a little ridiculous. Crazy amount of crap that came with this thing. It's an illusion. I thought there was something else in the bag and I was wrong. So, this is Calavinka by BigFireBird Toys. It's a nice little elegant jet former. I believe it's meant to be a mech a la Macross. So it's not based on any kind of transformer. I saw some comparisons to Mind Wipe, Revenge of the Fallen Mind Wipe, and I guess I can see it. I mean, it's a black jet with red details and stuff, but for some reason it comes with this card that has text on it, but we can't quite see it. I translate. I forgot what it said. I forget what it said, but. It comes with like this, it comes with like a background, and then it comes with like a clear, transparent overlay. I don't know. It forces me to put the all the accessories in a ridiculously large bag, considering how small the figure is. It comes with these here accessories. There's quite a few of them, but they can be broken down into a few basic categories. Here's some hands. There's some hands you can swap out with different shapes and hand positions. Those are pretty easy to swap. I did swap them out in the video, so. It comes with this type of gun. It can clip onto a few different places. And it comes with this type of gun. Like a pin, like a slot, what do you call it? Tab that goes into a slot. I feel like this is still too bright. I've been trying to make it brighter for all the people who complain about it being too dark, but I do have my lights right here, so let me just pull them back a little bit. But it's like this. It's kind of like a rocket thruster, and the confusing thing about it is the set, the whole thing. It comes with this gun that I suppose you could probably put in one of its hands. It comes with, dump it out. It comes with a duplicate of that gun. Yep, kind of. They're strangely mirror images of each other. I see it now, they're the same gun. So, guns. But it comes with 6 of these. And I can't say that I spent a lot of time at it, but I don't think you can put all 6 of these on at once. And then it came with 4 of these like rocket thruster thingies. So it just seemed like a lot of accessories, considering in jet mode or in robot mode you can't really put them all on. So like, why did it come with so many? They could have saved themselves a buck. It comes with like this comic book. So I guess this is the pilot, sexy anime girl. I think they're trying to, have their own sort of storyline. You can see here it shows like 4 and 4, but it came with 2 extra of the pods. I guess they are showing you can put them on the tips of the wings, and it washes out because of the light. So, I don't know, maybe you could stuff them all on there somehow. It has some transformation. It has other modes. So there's some other odd modes where you just kind of fold it up in different ways. I can't say that those seem like much. And then ultimately it gets around to showing you how to fold it up into the jet mode. But here's like a picture of the different modes. But I mean, like, what is this? This is a folded up jet. I don't know what the point of that is. But it's potentially an option. They kind of show you how to use the clear plastic. It gets scratched real easy though, so it's already scratched. So don't quite see the point. A little preview of their next project. It looks like some sort of bad guy jet, maybe. More pictures of hot anime pilot chick, and then I guess some sort of dialogue, some sort of story. So it came with that. We'll do a transformation real quick and just wrangle my accessories real quick so I don't lose them. You can also like have these hang down in jet mode, but I'm not sure why you would. I think it looks better with them up. So we separate the shield. It's a bit of a parts form there. Flip this up out of the way. It's on a double hinge, so at some point we can extend the whole thing, but just keep that in mind. Like flip it up, and then we run this through, and then after, or going the other way before we run this through, we have to make sure that this thing is moved. So now you can run into a binding issue where if you collapse this too far and then try to lower this, it kind of catches, which seems reasonable, but you see how far it sticks up at that point? And if we don't do that, it goes lower, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So this gold bit can get in your way if you're not careful. The arms kind of rotate around and extend. The shoulders and arms are kind of a weird mechanism. It actually, I could see how they could design it so it had better like articulation, but whatever. So there's the arms. Then we can flip up the thighs so that they point straight forward along the axis of what will eventually be the jet. So all that lines up. This tabs in. This tabs in. The tab can come loose, so you just want to make sure it keeps getting tabbed along the way. All right. I transformed a little out of this sequence because I was trying to get him on his feet right away, but you collapse the feet, and then there's actually a slot and a tab, and so it slots in right like that. Same thing over here. You wouldn't have guessed that, would you? You'd think it would tidy up a little better if you could rotate these to the inside, but you can only rotate one of them to the inside. There's not enough space, so the feet are just kind of hanging out there. And then we bring this down. We can go ahead and tab this. You just want to make sure that there's a tab right in front of this pin post, and that tab goes onto that slot goes onto this little tiny tab right here on that part I talked about a minute ago. Then there's another tab towards the back, and it goes into that slot. So if you can get them both tabbed, you've got it all aligned properly. So that's about right. It's still a little loosey-goosey because we haven't put the rest of it away yet. Alright, so we're going to flip out the arms. Look at it from underneath. Yeah, they do tab there. My focus is a little strong at this range. There we go. So the goal is to untab that, and this whole thing goes like this, and you want to make sure the hand, there we go. So we want to make sure like the forearm has kind of a flat bit and then kind of a curved bit, and the curved bit goes towards the back of the jet at this point in the transformation. And then the hand, the palm faces forward. But you extract the wing from the forearm, and it gets tabbed into the main wing, and then the forearm flips up, and the hand kind of forms the side of the, just kind of covers up here on the side of the jet engine. And then you take it apart because you forgot a step, But for whatever reason, they want the jet to have its forward canards be forward-facing, swept wing canards. It's got a very stealth look to it, but I guarantee this thing would not be stealthy at all. So we do the same thing over here. We're just going to rotate the forearm so the curve bit faces forwards. All tucks in there. Turn this around before we get around to it. Tab the wing in. I got it backwards somehow. How did I do that? What have I done wrong? Why? Not that complicated. Right, the flat part goes forward. You'll know right away because the wing won't go. Turn the hand and cover this up with the forearm. And make sure everything's tabbed in tight. Flip up the wings. It does have a little landing gear. It's got landing gear in the shins. And of course landing gear at the front. Just kind of put it between the ears of the jet, of the robot. So it can sit on its landing gear. And also it has an opening canopy because it is a piloted vehicle. It is not a sentient cybernetic life form. It is a mech. It's kind of a cool thing. It's strange. It wasn't terribly expensive, and someone asked about it, and you know, I like the build quality on BigFireBird Nice C, and sure enough, the build quality on this is very good. It's a very simple figure, but sometimes that's nice because you can have a figure that, you know, it can be in jet mode and then it can be in robot mode pretty quickly. It's got those extra modes if you find play value in that, and that's it. BigFireBird Toys Calavinka. It has a bunch of other names too. Bird of Dawn. I don't know what that means. Let's see, reading some comments. This thing reminds me of something Hasbro would do, sure. Lila Marler has returned. Hello, Lila. Some of you guys have been away for a while. You show up for this. You don't show up for the complicated Thunder Warrior last week. You should watch that video. I go over it in detail. I'll fart around and transform this back into its robot mode. I discovered to my dismay, I was waiting on Kang Toys Firmament and the shipping hadn't updated. And found out today that the reason the shipping didn't update is because it got lost somehow in shipping. So they were like, we can refund it or we can send another one. I was like, send it. Send me one. Why do I have to ask about this? And then, you know, hopefully they will send me one. That is what I contracted with Show Z to do in the first place, is to send me one. I just want them to finish the process of sending me one. I mean, shipping's their problem. Send me one. Turning these around is easier if you do it at this stage rather than when everything else is in the way. It does have like a shoulder tilt, which is nice. It's got some elements to it that are for articulation. But it's just weird because it doesn't really, I mean, I guess it kind of has an upper arm. There's your upper arm right there. You could also, you know, like you could let this hang down and like be an upper arm, but I don't think it looks as good that way, so we're sticking with the official methodology. And there's that. You can pop off his shield. You can untab the wings and flip them up, and then bring the legs down. It's a bit of a digitigrade leg setup because I think it's supposed to kind of look like that. Although you can snug it up closer and have more of a proper humanoid knee if you want to. But I kind of like the digitigrade look. This goes up like this. Out of the way. And then we need to make sure that we flip this up and over before we try to flip the cockpit around, otherwise it'll bind. And flip the little antenna up. And then we accordion, we zigzag this into position. And you're back to the mech. Pretty simple, uncomplicated sort of thing. We can put a shield on his arm. It's not completely symmetrical. There is no hole on this side for the shield. There's a slot, so I guess you can stick one of those damn gun things in there. One of your hundreds of gun options. But it's pretty cool. If you're a big Transformers fan, it's probably not for you. But for a fun little, you know, futuristic jet that turns into a mech, it's probably the right thing for you. So we'll lighten things up again for the YouTube picture. Hopefully it'll pick that. And I get my big giant bag that all these accessories will actually fit in. Leave it open because I'll put Calavinka in there too. It's not something I'll necessarily display. Anyway, gang, it's kind of a short live stream because it's a short and simple figure. Probably similar situation next week if you are a supporter at peelisteru.locals.com. Then you'll see my stop motion video for Transformers Prime First Edition RC. It's a knockoff version that Show Z sent me. And it's got a nice paint job, although it kind of flakes a little bit. So that'll be cool. And I don't know when I'm shooting this weekend for locals. This weekend will be MMC Mastermind Creations Ultio. The one it's the if you saw recently, one of the con exclusives was like a thing that was repainted to look like Batman. I didn't get the Batman version, but I did get the purple original Ultio version. Apparently it's based on an IDW publishing character that's Ratbat, or like Progenitor Ratbat, or Senator Ratbat, or something. I don't know. I kind of looked it up and then I lost interest in it. Yeah, I think about doing the Macross jet sometimes, but they are very fans toys in between. So when you transform those jets, they have a lot of transformation joints and a lot of just regular joints that are very loose. And I don't know, doing one of those would require me to sit down for quite a while and like super glue up the joints, you know, get them tighter. That sounds crazy, but you work the joint until the super glue doesn't stick anymore, and it introduces that that super glue powder into the joint, makes it a stiffer joint. But yeah, I think about doing I got a few of the real nice Yamato Macross jets. I've got of course the Jetfire Progenitor, what is it? The VF1 or the VF? I lose track of the numbers. But I have like a 21, I have a 22 and a 19, and I've got the sort of Russian jet. It's a mess. I've got the monster that turns into one of those big gun mechs, the Macross thing that had like a bunch of guns over the top of it. It turns into kind of a space shuttle looking thing. It didn't in the cartoon, but you know, someone, I think in like one of the board games or something for Macross, they had a transforming monster, and so Yamato made one. So I've got a few of the Yamato jets, and all of them are just kind of loosey-goosey. So if I wanted to shoot any of them, I'd have to like tighten them up, and I'd still probably run into trouble because their transformation joints are very fans toys. They're very floppy. But I've thought about doing those from time to time, but I'm just kind of busy enough with other stuff that's a little more modern and stiffer. And it's a little more pleasant to transform things like that. Yeah, fans toys, imagine, will get around to completing their Menasor. What at this point they have one car left to go, and then you know, the entire combiner, however they're going to present that. I mean, I kind of like the DX9 XTB approach, where the trailer for Menasor turns into the combiner. I think that's a smart way to have them all. You know, if you put them all in car mode, including the trailer, you have kind of a complete team. So it's almost like an all built-in, like MMC did with the Combaticons, because everything you need is in the trailer. I don't know what Fans Toys is doing. I just assume they're going to have like basically a big body. It's obvious that they're even Fans Toys Motor Master is just designed to kind of fold in half and like go plug into the back and not really be part of the combiner. It doesn't have any combiner ports on it or anything. I find that to be a little disappointing because it's following the cartoon, but if they'd followed the toy, it was all built in originally, except for the hands and feet were accessories. Well, Fans Toys has said that the final component is supposed to come with the combiner pieces, but I mean, you're talking about quite an expense there. Because I mean, it's the whole combiner. You've seen like DX9 and XTB's approaches where they have the trailer turn into the combiner, but it's like a big part. It's like the combiner, and all the cars just like plug onto it like ornaments. And I don't know, that seems like it would be pretty expensive, and especially if you're like someone who just wants the car, you're not interested in the combiner, and there are people like that. People that went ahead and pulled the trigger on XTB or DX9, and they're just going to use Fans Toys for like the individual like car robots instead of ever combining them. So to get the final car and be stuck with also having to pay for the entire combiner body seems like a bit of a stretch. I think they should make it a separate SKU, but whatever. You're saying the individual cars have limb modes? Because I mean, like the lower leg cars, they just kind of stick on. There's not really a limb mode, from what I understand. And the arms, they like separate. I mean, let's see. There's only, what is it? There's the missing one is the other arm, the Porsche, and so they did release their yellow arm, the thing that's loosely based on a Tyrrell race car. I don't know. I haven't seen any videos that indicate how that thing operates, but it should split in half, kind of like the XTB and DX9s do. Does drag strip turn into the entire arm? Huh. Yeah, I don't know what they're going with there. I thought the XTB set looked pretty clean. The trailer turned into a bit of a mess, but it gets the job done. You can combine it and put it on a shelf. DX9 looked a little more toyetic, a little more reasonable. But that trailer was kind of fugly because it was like this really weirdly long trailer. XTB just kind of compromised and had to be like a little bit too wide and a little bit too tall, and that's how they fit it all in there. XTB or DX9 got like the trailer cross section proportions right, so it's not too tall and it's not too wide, but it's way too long. So different compromises for different problems. But I don't tend to get into the Fans Toys. The only Fans Toys figure I own, because I have a weakness for tank bots, so you can guess it's going to be their Warpath figure from recently. All the other Fans Toys figures I've done videos on were the Chosen Prime was kind enough to loan those to me so that I could shoot them, and then I send them back. But I don't tend to buy Fans Toys because I find the transformation design is a little, I don't know, kind of ad hoc and uninspired, and I just prefer something that doesn't quite do things the way even Warpath. I was kind of irritated by some of the transformation design, although it wasn't as bad as some of the stuff I've seen from them. And it was kind of clever how the upper body kind of gets bigger. There's some things I like. There's always something I like about Fans Toys when I handle them. The Fans Toys Motor Master is pretty clever because the whole trailer just disappears almost into like a little backpack. That's kind of cool. But I don't tend to get fans toys. After Lock, I'm going to have to stop and think whether or not I'm going to get XTB anymore. That was a real embarrassment. And it's not just, you know, they're like, oh, you know, this other factory built it and we're going to make it right. You know, I guess they're going to make new ones. But the design itself is flawed on Lock. And I don't appreciate it one little bit. It reminded me, like I picked this thing up and I just can't even shoot it. But it's like XTB's wind charger. And it's got really, really bad clearance issues. And it also has like leg parts that kind of fall apart. So he's in pieces now in this bag. One of the worst figures I ever got. But I'm like, oh, that's just that's an older X-Transbots design. You got to cut them a little slack. They were still growing and learning. Some of their intermediate designs were really nice. And then that Lock came out, and granted the assembly and the build on it were bad. I agree with them that their factory screwed up, but there's just some like design elements that are wrong. Lock has like the front bumper, and it's kind of split in half, and there's like a little piece over here, and that little piece is held on by like a little stem, and it rotates. It rotates around that stem, so there's a hinge, and so you can kind of rearrange the bumper and get out of the way, which is kind of sloppy design in the first place, but you could forgive it, except this little hinge. This hinge is operated or rotating around a tiny little screw. Like, I mean, it's a small screw. I don't know how to convey to you how small this screw is. It's small. And when you operate it, like a lot of things that if you use screws for the hinge, like Toy World tends to do, as you operate it, you'll find that there's one side that's not too bad, but the other side, because the screws all go the same way, there's always one side that as you operate the part, it'll make the screw come out. It'll like loosen the screw over time as you operate it. And what I found with Lock, because I transformed it a few times before I got disgusted and returned it, is the screw would exit the piece. So the first time it happened, like I was fiddling with it and I heard like a little clink and the part came off, like the fender came off. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I looked around and got really lucky. I found this tiny little screw in my lap, and I managed to put the part back in place and put the screw back in. I was like, damn. So from then on, I was kind of watching that, and then another time I was fiddling with it, the screw came out again, and I almost lost it again because it is a tiny screw. So they can blame a lot of the problems with that figure on the factory, but when it comes down to it, the design, using a tiny screw for a hinge, is not smart. You should use a pin. Or you have the screw, I don't know how to describe it, but if you have a part that's going to rotate, you put it on a post, and then you put one of those little pan head screws on top, and the pan head screw touches the post and not the rotating part. So the part can rotate without backing the screw out, because the screw is not actually touching the part that's rotating. But what they did is, it's a very small area that they had to work with. So they had like a little post, and the part went onto the post, and then the screw goes on, and the screw interfaces with the part that's moving. So it's gonna unwind that screw over time, as I discovered, and it's gonna fall apart. So I'm gonna have to consider carefully whether or not I'm gonna get X-Transbots figures again. Hopefully they will correct course and go back to their complicated but not too bad a clearance issue that they got into recently with like their Stunticons were decent. There was a little something to solve, but it wasn't unsolvable. But with Lock, like getting the head through and just a lot of the design is just flawed. And a little ad hoc. Like it felt a little bit like Fans Toys, the way they had just, like, oh, we got to put another hinge here so we can fit this through, and kind of sloppy design work. See you later. Anyway, I filled another 15 minutes bitching about Lock. But that's pretty much it for me. I don't have anything else to say. I appreciate everyone dropping by. Nice to see some people I haven't seen in a while. I'll answer a question here. That's a good question. Max Mox asked, is there a tank bot you would really like to see get a third-party treatment that hasn't? Tough question. Mostly because a lot of the tank bots have gotten third-party treatment. I might have said like Armada Megatron, but there has been, Fans Hobby has released prototype images of their version of Megatron. I'm not much into Fans Hobby. I find the it's a little too chunky and a little too simple and a little too expensive for my tastes, given what it is. Chosen Prime did loan me like their Nemesis Prime one time, and it was all right, but not terribly blow your hair back engineering. It was very simple, just like the original toy, with maybe a couple of extra articulation joints built into it so you can pose it better. But I might have to get that tank, the Megatron tank, if it's not too expensive, because I like tank bots. I like a tank bot. I can't think of any tanks that haven't been done, but I'm always kind of curious. I always like to get tanks. I have like Bad Cube's version of War Dog. Actually, it's called War Dog, but their version of Blam Kapow, whatever his name is now, Warpath. The shoulder's a little busted, or there's a slide in the leg that's broken, and the shoulders are a pain in the ass, and I never got around to shooting it. I could probably shoot it, but I got other stuff to shoot, so probably won't get to it. But I do have one of those, and I got the DNA Design, one of the few robots they ever made, because they usually just do add-on kits, but they did that like samurai robot, and I did a stop motion of that, so I have that one. I do like a tank bot. It'd be kind of cool if I would like to see an MPM Brawl from the movies. People don't like the movie figures that much, but it's a tank. I'd love to see, an MPM Brawl, or a third party do their version of an MPM Brawl, but it'd be a pretty big figure. Trying to think of some other tanks. I don't know. You could do a whole line of tanks. The thing I like about Brawl is it's got some like sci-fi bullshit extra guns and shit on it. It was actually borrowed from another movie production. It was like sitting around in like a prop lot, so they're like, hey, grab that one. But it is based on the M1A1 Abrams, and so it'd be nice to see, even if it wasn't Transformers related, but see some of these, mech designers, this realistic version, or this thing that turns into a J-20 Chinese jet. It would be interesting to see them do some U.S. military hardware, like Abrams tanks or Sherman tanks or whatever. Oh, Glitch, you just made it, but I was just getting ready to sign off. But thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. So that's my question. That's my answer. I can't think of any tank bots that nobody's made other than maybe we haven't had a masterpiece treatment of Brawl yet. I'm sure people put in the comments if you want what other tank bots there are, and I'll probably agree with you that they should make them, because I like tank bots. I'd like to see a tank bot with working treads. I saw a prototype picture of some sort of Megatron. It was maybe from Hasbro, but it looked like the way it operated was the tank treads were full treads, like operable treads, and when it transformed into robot mode, the tank treads kind of like folded up, so they were like on the sides of his lower legs. I remember seeing, like, it was obvious the tank treads, they create a little slack and fold it up so the tread still is continuous. That'd be cool. That'd be cool to get a tank bot where the tread is a real tread. Sorry, Glitch. There's not much else to say. I already did all the things. You can watch the playback. How about that? Anyway, gang, I'm going to sign off. I wish everyone a good evening and a good, Thursday. It's St. Patty's Day. Enjoy that. Wear green or something. Have a good Thursday and a good Friday. Have a good Saturday and Sunday. Like I said, Sunday, YouTube will see my Transformers Prime RC knockoff video. It's already up at peelistrew.locals.com now. And locals will get my video for Mastermind Creations Ultio, which is like a weird purple jet guy. I just like MMC's figure build. They make really nice. I got kind of inspired by the recent, the Optimus Prime that they just recently did was so well built that I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and get Ultio. And then supposedly the Devil Savior Overload, the articulated dump truck that turns into the hips of their Troublemaker Devastator from the movies, that is still shipping. So maybe it'll show up by the weekend, after the Ultio weekend. And like I said, somehow my Kang Toys firmament got lost. So I'm hoping they will just ship it back out again now that I've asked for it. Shouldn't have to ask for it. And then, I don't know. There's other stuff in the pipeline, but they haven't been released yet. I've got plenty of, I can shoot other stuff. I'll find something. I did, I went ahead and paid for, pre-ordered for the the second pressing of the Transcraft Bumblebee. And I had a bunch of points, so I went ahead and just paid for it. So hopefully that'll get released pretty soon. It looks like it'd make a nice video, although I still don't like the way the hinges are showing on the car. But that's what's in the pipeline. I've got all those, like that company that is making the combiner with the trains, the 6 trains. I've got those on pre-order, but who knows when they're actually being released. And that other company that's doing like a very stylized sort of aerial bots, but the jet modes look fantastic. I've got those on pre-order too, but again, who knows when they're actually going to release those. In June or July, we're waiting on the new MP, the new version of Masterpiece Starscream. I've got that on pre-order with Amazon Japan. But that's pretty long range. Anyway, I'll think of something to shoot in the meantime. Maybe I'll do one of those Macross jets, who could say. Anyway, good evening, good week, good weekend. Talk to you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.